Hello and welcome to Spoilers and Breakdowns. This is a channel where we're going to break down, analyze, and potentially spoil any movie or TV shows that you're interested in. And today we're going to be breaking down the season 3 premiere of Titans. This will be a busy channel, so make sure you do subscribe. Next week we will be breaking down episodes 2 and 3 of Titans, followed by the episodes of What If that are available over on Disney Plus and The Suicide Squad. So before jumping in and breaking down the first episode, I think we should probably go back and recap the season 2 finale and get all caught up and understand where everyone's at before the beginning of this current season. In that season 2 finale, Cadmus still had Connor and Gar under their control, and they planted Gar in a circus in order for him to go crazy, and they were going to have Connor go and save the day so that they could auction him off to the highest bidder. Once the girls found out about this, they went and they were going to go and try and free their friends. But before they could, Deathstroke ambushed their car. But thankfully, Dick, dressed as Nightwing for the first time, shows up and tells them to go ahead and try to rescue Gar and Connor. This leaves Nightwing and Deathstroke fighting one-on-one until his daughter, Rose, shows up and she actually stabs Deathstroke with her sword through the chest. And right before he dies, she allows her brother Jericho to go inside of her mind and still be alive without having a physical body. And so during the fight between the girls and Connor actually throws Donna, and she hits a beam that does take some damage. And after their battle and everyone's all on good terms again, there's a little girl who points at her teddy bear who's still left behind on one of the rides when they were evacuating. And so Dove, being, the hero she is, she goes and grabs the teddy bear for the girl, and when she's giving it back, the beam that Donna hit actually begins to fall, and it's going to collapse on all of them and smash them. But then Donna steps up, and she actually is able to hold the whole beam, but unfortunately she gets electrocuted, and in a huge shock, she dies. Did not see this coming the first time. I was completely shocked. So, after Donna's shocking death, they do send the body back to Themyscira, and at the airport, Rachel actually talks to Dick and tells her that she feels her powers getting stronger, and she believes that maybe she can possibly bring Donna back. So, she leaves behind, and at the farewell, you can actually see Jason in the distance. He's looking on a motorcycle, but then he leaves soon after being spotted. And that's the last we see of Jason so far for the season. And once we get back to the team, we're at a dinner where everyone's enjoying an orange soda that Donna loved. And everyone tries it and loves it except for Hank. Towards the end of their dinner, they do get a call that there's a bomb squad and cops at the Mixon district. So they're all really hesitant at first to go since they just lost their friend. But Dove is the first one to get up, and then she tells everyone, "What are you waiting for?" And they all decide to go and stop the crime together. And that's the last we see of the team, and that closes the season.
But wait! There's more! Hang on to your seat, baby, because this one's a screamer!
We do get a post-credit scene, and in this short scene, it starts on a mom who's loading her groceries in the car with her 2 daughters already buckled in the seatbelt. This black ball of mass lands on her neck, and it then goes inside of her ear, which was gross, and that completely changes her face. And it's revealed that it's actually Blackfire, who just landed on Earth and is looking for her sister, probably. That's where we left off on the season 2 finale. Now let's go ahead and get started, because this first episode is crazy and really action-packed with a ton of Easter eggs. So let's get started. We open with Jason, who's in the Batcave and tracking the Joker. And so he calls Bruce, who's on a private plane somewhere. It doesn't say where he's flying over, but he's telling him that he's got the Joker. He's tracking him. The cops failed, and they walked into a trap, and he's at this old amusement park by the pier, and that he should go and get him because this is going to be their only chance, according to Jason. But Bruce tells him to stand down, that he's alone and it's not safe. But Jason tells him that he's not afraid anymore and looks at this unknown chemical that's in this looks like an inhaler, and it cuts to the scene where he almost died the previous season, and he's still clearly struggling in his mind with what happened, but he's not going to admit it openly. After being told to stand down by Bruce, Jason doesn't listen and goes over to the Robin suit and inhales what was in that chemical. And we cut to him going where it was a trap, and the Joker was waiting for Jason to show up. And it shows the Joker beating him to death with a crowbar. And then we get our title card for this new season of Titans. After that crazy opening, we start off at Dayton Labs back in San Francisco, California, where Gizmo, who, if you're familiar with the cartoon Teen Titans from the early 2000s, he was that little short midget. He is extracting this last vial of something green, where it's later revealed that it's actually a bioengineered strain of Ebola called the Clench, and that's actually the same name of the strain that affected the whole population in Gotham and was the whole plot of the comic book series Batman Contagion. And I thought that was really awesome that they're introducing something, even if it's small, that's from the comic book series, and they actually do a lot more that I'm going to be breaking down in just a few moments. But back to the lab, as Gizmo's trying to make his escape, the Teen Titans show up, and we get to see kind of everyone have a moment of glory. Nightwing shows up first, and he uses his sticks that just electrocute everything and everyone. And then we go to Gar, who's improved a ton on his fighting and is able to turn in back to the tiger and control it. And then we go to Starfire, who drops down in literally a ball of fire. And then Connor, Superboy, who is able to just like in an instant like toss people through walls with his whole body. And they're able to subdue Gizmo and the rest of his men. And that's where it's revealed that it's called the Clench. After the fight, and while everyone else is taking interviews and speaking with the police, Dick gets a call from Bruce, and that's where he's told about Jason, and it just shows his reaction. He says, "What?" And then we cut to Gotham City, and that's where we slowly pan down on this young teenager, and he's speaking in Cantonese and delivering dumplings. And afterwards, he goes back to his mom and pop shop after doing the deliveries, and that's where they see on the TV that the Joker had just killed Robin, and he's a huge Batman and Robin fan, so he actually starts to cry a little bit, and that's where his mom says, like, "I'm so sorry, Tim." And doing a little digging, I wasn't trying to look for this, but I found that he is actually Tim Drake. So it looks like, probably, I'm gonna guess, this is my guess, that by the end of the season, he will be on track to become the new Robin, or at least a Robin, and I'll get to that in later on in the video. So the following morning, Dick gets back to Gotham, and it's his first time back in a while, and he goes back to Wayne Manor, where he tries to talk to Bruce about Jason and his funeral, and that's where it's revealed that Bruce actually already buried him the day before next to Alfred. And Dick was really caught off guard by this because Bruce says that he has no family, and that's where Dick says that they are his family, and he clearly wanted to be a part of that, or at least arrange something for the funeral. And Bruce is just kind of neglecting everything and acting like nothing happened, and he even mentions how they have to move on and that there's someone new who's killed 7 people, and he's trying to figure out who that is exactly. And that just upsets Dick even more because he at least wants to have one conversation or one talk with Bruce about Jason and kind of reflect and think about what happened. But Bruce is just in denial and tells him to move on, that he did. And after this tense scene, we cut back to Starfire back at Titan Tower, and she's kind of telling Connor, Gar, and Crypto that they have to keep evolving and stop and to avoid stopping at one stage and to always try to improve, because that's what's going to get them farther and that's what's going to keep them alive. And Jason didn't do that, and that's why he died. And so she's not really upset. She's not sad. She's more upset with Jason that he died. And after kind of venting to the guys, we go back to Gotham, where Dick is at a crime scene on a rooftop, and we're introduced to one Barbara Gordon, who, if you don't know, is actually Batgirl. And she's in a wheelchair, and it's revealed that there's a new killer, and they can't find who he is, but they're leaving the victim's face wrapped in cellophane. She also reveals that last night when the Joker was brought in, he allowed the cops to bring him in and said that he was ready to go back to Arkham. And she also said that it was just like me, referring to the accident where Joker shot her, and he just waited patiently for the authorities and happily went back to Arkham Asylum. We also learned that Dick hadn't talked to Jason in 3 months, so there kind of wasn't really a relationship there. They just went their both ways once Bruce recalled Jason back to Gotham. So, not knowing how to really approach Bruce anymore, he asked Barbara to come and talk to Bruce and have a drink with them, and maybe she's able to get through to him and just talk to him and see what he has to say about Jason. So at this dinner, it is revealed by Barbara that her dad died of a heart attack after being frozen in a block of ice by Mr. Freeze. And she also tells a story of when Robin, who Jason Dodd at the time, chased down Mad Hatter and was cussing him out. And then Bruce told him to just watch his language once they got him. And during this conversation, Bruce kind of mentions that he had better communication with her dad, and that really irritates Barbara. And what really sets her off the edge is when Bruce refers to the whole situation as a war, and Barbara snaps, saying that he's just calling it a war to justify the people that he's lost along the way, and how when she was shot by the Joker, he didn't blame her. And this was extremely similar to what happened in the animated movie The Killing Joke. The Joker actually shows up outside Barbara's door and shoots her right where she's going to be crippled, and she would survive. And it's extremely similar to this. And again, I love how they're bringing things that happen in the comic books or in the animated movies and incorporating it into the Titans show without forcing it and making it like obvious or making it seem like it was purposely made this way. I like how they're kind of just organically introducing characters and their backstories, and that's what makes this show really unique, and that's why it really caught my attention when I first started watching it, because they just had a lot of details that most people might not notice. After going off on Bruce, Barbara leaves and Dick follows her down the hallway, and that's when she just tells him that he should go back to Gotham because Bruce is the reason all these people have gotten killed, and that he's just as bad as the Joker. So after that plan backfires on Dick, he goes to Jason's room to investigate and try to find any type of evidence that would help him and trying to find out what happened exactly to Jason. And in there he finds this chemistry book and chemistry notes, and also a key with an address to a storage facility. So obviously he goes there, and once he shows up, he realizes that it's something a lot more than what he was expecting, because there's like a table set up that Jason was clearly cooking something. So he brings back a little bit of the same chemical that Jason was inhaling at the beginning of the episode for testing. And when he does, the computer system tells him that it's an unknown chemical. So he's completely lost. And when he's at the computer in the Batcave, there is an alert of a system update on these files. And once he opens it, he realizes that it's a bunch of younger teenagers, and he asks Bruce who these people are, and he just says that they're potential recruits. And I'm actually going to be going into detail on these names because they're not just any other names. They're actually crazy and extremely interesting because it could be setting up something huge. Okay, first we have Carrie Kelly, who appears in the animated movie The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2. She first appears as a 13-year-old and is saved by Batman on the night he actually comes back out of retirement due to the recent death of Jason Todd. And she actually returns the favor and ends up saving Batman's life. So that's why he brings her in and trains her to become Robin, and she actually eventually becomes Catgirl and even Batgirl. After Carrie Kelly, we get a quick glimpse at Daxton Chill, who is a 17-year-old high school student, but he rarely ever goes to school. And he is a member of We Are Robin, which is a group of teenagers that all work under the moniker Robin, and they just stop crime throughout the city. And he's really smart and prefers to fight with a wrench, so he's definitely more violent than Batman or Robin typically would be. Followed by Daxton Chill, we have Stephanie Brown, who is actually the daughter to a villain. His name's Cluemaster, and she eventually becomes a spoiler first because her dad lies to her and continues to have a life of crime after supposedly being rehabilitated. And she becomes a spoiler and leaves clues, leaving her father's whereabouts behind for Batman and the police to find and eventually track him down. And she eventually does become Robin, and along the way she actually does have feelings for Tim Drake, but it really upsets her because he knows her true identity, but he refuses to let her know his. So there's always some tension there. And finally, we have Duke Thomas, also known as the Signal. He's a teenage metahuman, which basically means that he has superpowers, and he's still learning his abilities, but he can manage to see where a light has been and where it'll be, meaning he can see into the future. And aside from that power, he also has the ability to see telescopic vision, microscopic vision, and he has X-ray vision, just to name a few. And he also joined and eventually led We Are Robin, and he did leave the organization eventually, and Batman offered to train him, and he's currently a member of the Bat family, and currently right now is still the Signal. I really hope this is more than just a small Easter egg, and this is pointing into the direction where they want to take the show, because it'd be really amazing if they incorporated all these different people and somehow pave the way for them to follow in their comic book steps. Since we already do have an elderly Bruce Wayne, I think it is possible, but we just have to wait and see what happens in the next coming episodes. So after realizing that Barbara was really right about Bruce, that he won't stop and he's going to continue to just find a new replacement for Robin, regardless if the person dies or not, or if he loses anyone else. And this really angers Dick because he just wanted to be able to talk to Bruce about Jason for once, and he's not willing to do that, but he's willing to just find a replacement. And after this argument, Bruce, in a desperation call, offers the mantle of Robin to Dick once more and says that they can do it as Batman and Robin once again. And Dick gets extremely mad and tells him that he doesn't want to be Robin anymore, that he's past that he's grown out of that, and tells him that he doesn't need to be fighting as Batman anymore. After this heated argument, we cut back to San Francisco, and we see Starfire, who's enjoying a drink and just having a toast to Jason. And right before she drinks, her eyes glow green, and she has this vision of her laying back, and she's on a stretcher gurney, and she's somewhere underground with these scientists or someone looking down on her. And then she wakes up out of that, and she's in the middle of the street in the way of all these cars, and they're just honking at her, and she just snaps out of it and is just trying to figure out, what the hell just happened. And after that, we cut back to the closing scene of the show, which was the craziest probably and the most shocking. Dick is laying in bed when he hears this loud metal clang, and it's a tire iron covered in blood. And that's when Bruce says just that he won, that the Joker won. And Dick just confused, and he says, wait, what happened? And Bruce tells him that the Joker laughed the whole time he caved his skull in because he knew that he won. And he tells Dick to be a better Batman, the Batman that he couldn't be, and that Dick sees things that Bruce can no longer see. And he leaves. And that's where we finish the episode. Batman killed the Joker. Crazy way to just start the season, and a crazy way to end the episode. Obviously, the first 3 episodes were dropped all together, so I'm going to be breaking down the second season next and the third, and hopefully by next week we are all caught up and on track for weekly releases the day that this comes out. And on top of that, we will be making videos breaking down the Suicide Squad and other shows soon to come. If you have any recommendations or any feedback, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section, and please don't forget to subscribe and share this channel with your friends. We are small now, but I promise you we will grow. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.